If you want 3 absolutely insane demigod builds in NBA 2K22 Next Gen, all with 90 plus badges, then you're in the right place. But first, if you're tired of grinding badges in NBA 2K22 Next or Current Gen, then be sure to hit up my boys over at Hero Grinders, top links in the description. Also, if you could do me a really quick favor and scroll down and press that big red subscribe button, as well as like the video, that would be greatly appreciated. So as you guys can see, we are in the My Player Builder, and this first build is going to be a point guard build. Now this is going to be a very traditional short point guard build. Moving on to the body settings, I would recommend dropping your height down 1 to 6'2". This may not seem very logical due to your attributes, but trust me, if you don't do this, you won't get the badges that you see me end up getting. For the weight, we're actually going to drop this down to 174 pounds. This is the highest we can go while maintaining our physicals. And then finally, moving on to the wingspan, we are gonna go ahead and bump this up to 6'9". This way, we just have way better defense, and also we can have a 92 driving dunk, which gives us elite contact dunks. So now, as you guys can see, we are on the attributes screen. First off, we're gonna start with finishing and shooting, since the two kind of link together in a way. As you can see, when I max out 3-point and I also bump up our mid-range to an 87, the close shot is also bumped up to a 57. After you've done that, you're going to want to go ahead and max out driving dunk to a 92. This way you will have elite contact dunks. And then you're also going to want to go ahead and bump up your driving layup to an 83. In total, you'll have 30 shooting badges, as well as 23 finishing badges, which yet again is absolutely crazy. Next, scrolling down to playmaking. First, you're going to want to go ahead and max out speed of the ball and max out ball handle. Actually, I would recommend dropping down your ball handle 1 to an 89, since there's just no reason not to. Scrolling down a little bit more, we're actually going to skip defense and just go straight to physicals. We're going to go ahead and max out the important things, speed and acceleration. And then next, we're going to max out stamina, as well as bump up our vertical to an 85, so we can just unlock every dunk package in this game. And then finally, for defense, you're going to want to go ahead and max out perimeter defense, as well as bump up steal to a 90. And then of course, you need to be able to defend against rim runners, so you're going to want to go ahead and upgrade your block to a 52. If you want another defensive and rebounding badge, I would recommend dropping down your stamina 4 ratings and then throwing all of these ratings onto block. And as you can see, you can get a 21st defensive badge. And I think you have like 1 or 2 ratings. You literally have to throw them on free throws, so just go ahead and do that. Now, I already know ahead of time, a lot of people are going to have issues with not having pass accuracy. Personally, I don't have an issue with this since I do ISO and it's not really a big deal. But if you do need pass accuracy, what I recommend you guys go ahead and do is drop the free throw, scroll up to driving layup, drop this down to a 76. You'll still have 21 finishing badges. And then what you're going to want to go ahead and do is basically just take down all of shooting and only upgrade 3-pointer. You'll still have 25 shooting badges, as well as a good mid-range and a good close shot. And then with all of these ratings that you did take down, you can go ahead and throw these onto pass accuracy, and you will have a 64 pass ac. If you do use screens a ton, I would actually recommend doing this, since you do need to be able to hit slips. But personally, I pretty much strictly ISO, so for me, it's just not worth it. Also, if you need free throw, you can also just do this. So now for the takeovers, I would recommend first going with limitless range, and then for the second takeover, I like going with ankle breaking shots since it's just so fun. And as you guys can see, I have built a 2-way scoring machine, which basically means you can do everything in this game. Moving on to build number 2. For build number 2, we are actually going to make a lockdown. But for the position, you're going to want to go with point guard. I know this sounds really weird, but for some reason, when you're a point guard, you just get way more badges. However, you still definitely can run small forward, shooting guard, or even power forward on this build. For body settings, I would actually recommend maxing out the height. Being taller, as you guys know, helps with your defense so much, since you're just a bigger body and it's way easier to get blocks and contest shots. For now, we're actually going to skip the weight and we're going to bump up our wingspan to 7'4". This way, as you guys can see, we unlock our 80 ball handle, which if you didn't know is like the second best tier of dribble moves in this game. For the weight, you're going to want to drop this down to basically minimum. Actually, it's going to be a 187. Onto the attributes screen. As usual, we're going to do shooting and finishing kind of together. So we're going to go ahead and start by basically max out driving dunk. We're going to put this to a 92. I'm pretty sure I already explained this, but 92 is the place where you unlock elite contact dunks. And for now, let's just go ahead and scroll down to shooting, where we're going to go ahead and max out mid-range and three-point. But then going back to finishing, we're going to go ahead and bump up our driving layup to an 86. Scrolling it down to playmaking, you're going to want to go ahead and max out ball handle, max out speed of the ball, and then bump up your pass accuracy to an 89. What I'd actually recommend doing is dropping down your speed with the ball 2 ratings to a 73. You don't lose pretty much anything. However, it's a great way to maximize badges. Next, scrolling it down to a defense. First, I'm going to just start off by maxing out these 5 stats. And I'm just going to make a couple of quick adjustments. Basically, what I'm going to go ahead and do is drop the block down to an 89 and drop the defensive rebound to an 88. This may seem a bit weird, but trust me, you have to do this. Next, scrolling down to physicals, of course, you're going to max out speed and acceleration. And then with all of the ratings left over, I'd recommend just throwing them on stamina. Again, we just have one attribute point that we have to throw on free throws, so just go ahead and do that. This build has a total of 97 badges, which is absolutely insane. This build can shoot and playmake at elite levels, as well as insane defense, which is why it's kind of like a lockdown build. And additionally, since you are so tall and so lanky, you're able to finish extremely well. Honestly, I already have my pure dribbling build, and I'm probably going to make this build next, since it's overall just absolutely crazy, especially on the 1v1 court. If you guys want interior defense on this build, I recommend dropping down the offensive rebound to a 62 and then throw all of those ratings onto interior defense and you'll have a 50 interior. This trade-off is completely up to you. You can have 3 more defensive badges and have 30 more offensive rebounding badges, or have 50 interior defense. Moving on to the takeover, what I'd recommend doing for the first takeover is actually going with finishing moves, since this takeover is just so cheesy. You get a contact dunk every single possession. And then for the second takeover, I'd actually recommend going with extreme clamps, since that's kind of like a more smart takeover to use. And as you guys can see, we have built a 2-way mid-range maestro. That's kind of an interesting name, but moving on to the third and final build. On to the third and final build of today's video, and this is going to be a big man build. Now, this build can definitely be a center build, however, we are going to be a power forward. This is just simply due to the fact that you get way more badges this way and way better attributes. On to the body settings, we're going to go ahead and drop the height down 1 to 6'8". You guys can just see how much this helps out the attributes. Now, I already know ahead of time, people are going to be saying this build's too short. Literally every year, short big man builds are the meta. Also, for some reason, when I'm guarding the paint or defending against a post scorer, I honestly prefer this build over like a 7-foot build. And on the offensive side of things, you're just so fast, it's honestly not even fair. For the weight, we're going to go ahead and drop this down to 234. I think this is the perfect mix of being able to be quick, while at the same time not being able to get pushed around easily. And then for the wingspan, of course, you're a big man, you have to max this out. On to the attribute screen. Again, we're going to go ahead and start with finishing and shooting, since they do tie together. So for shooting, we're going to go ahead and max out mid-range and three-pointer. Then scrolling up to finishing, we're going to go ahead and bump up our driving down to a 92. And then also bring up our driving layup to an 86. Going down a few attributes, we're going to go to standing dunk, where we're going to go ahead and bump this up to an 81. And then finally, scrolling up to close shot, we're going to bump this up to a 60. That way we can have 25 finishing badges, which is more than enough. Scrolling down to playmaking, we're going to go ahead and bump up our pass accuracy to an 89. For playmaking, this is pretty much all you need. It's so nice being able to just throw down court passes and facilitate really well in this build. Next, for defensive / rebounding, we're gonna do something a little bit weird, but trust me, you have to do this or else it just won't work out for you. So with interior defense, we're gonna go ahead and bump this up to an 80. Then for perimeter defense, we're gonna bump this up to a 79. And then for steal, we're gonna go ahead and bump this up to an 82. Going down one more, we're gonna go ahead and bump up our block to an 89. And then finally, for the rebounding, we're gonna go ahead and bump up our offensive rebound to a 93. And our defensive rebound all the way to a 98. This build will have 36 defensive / rebounding badges, which is absolutely nuts. Also, everything in the defensive category is basically an 80 or higher. And finally, scrolling down to the physicals, you're going to want to go ahead and max out speed, max out acceleration, max out stamina, and then throw the rest of the attributes onto vertical. However, I'd actually recommend dropping down your stamina to a 96 and then throwing that 1 rating onto verticals so you can unlock the next tier of dunk packages. This build in total has 95 badges. It can do pretty much everything I wanted to be able to do at an elite level. It can dunk really consistently and really easily. As well, it's an extremely good popper, can facilitate extremely well, and its defense, as you guys can see, is crazy. Now, the solution of 4 free throws is honestly very simple. All you have to do is drop that 1 steal rating down, then drop your mid-range and your 3-point down 1 rating. And then if you throw all of those ratings onto free throw, you can have a, honestly, if you're even thinking about playing rec or pro-am, I would just recommend doing it, since the jump from 70 to 25 is honestly massive. For the first takeover, I was honestly really tempted to go with Spot Up. However, I decided to go with See the Future since I think it's overall just a better takeover. And then for the secondary takeover, I would recommend going with Spot Up Precision. And as you guys can see, I have built a versatile paint beast. Honestly, if you're a center and you have high defense, 2K just gives you this name no matter what. But with that being said, that's pretty much gonna wrap it up for the video. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, drop me a like and also subscribe to the channel so you know if I next time I'm dropping some more gems on y'all. Go follow my Twitter and I'm out. Peace.